Israel said that the men had participated in strikes against Israel and in smuggling weapons from Egypt. Officials in Gaza said that the 2 men killed were border guards. Over the last year, a truce between Hamas and Israel has regularly been broken. Burmese opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi was received with honors on Wednesday in the United States. The icon of Burmese democracy was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal by the U.S. Congress, the most prestigious distinction to be conferred on a civilian. She won the medal in 2008 while under house arrest in Rangoon. Ms. Suu Kyi, a winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, later met with another recipient of that award, Barack Obama, whose administration recently lifted sanctions against Burma. President Obama expressed his admiration for her courage and reaffirmed his commitment to support the Burmese government in its steps toward democratic reform. A nationwide strike has been called in India. Small businesses are protesting a government proposal to open the country's retail sector to global supermarket chains. The strike was joined by trucking companies and bus drivers who face a 12 to 14% rise in the price of diesel. The decision to allow global giants like Walmart and Tesco to sell directly to Indian consumers was abandoned last year due to opposition. The government says that India needs this reform to revive a moribund economy. The reform would allow foreign supermarket chains to own as much as a 51% stake in multi-brand Indian retailers. Colombia is demanding the extradition of drug kingpin Daniel Barrera, who was arrested on Tuesday in Venezuela. Mr. Barrera was one of the most powerful drug barons in the region. His arrest was coordinated between Colombian, Venezuelan, American, and British officials. The U.S. offered $5 million for information leading to his arrest. To hide his identity, Mr. Barrera submitted to plastic surgery and burned his fingertips with acid to destroy the prints. Mr. Barrera's organization is estimated to have shipped some 900 tons of cocaine to the U.S. and Europe.
Afghanistan produces 90% of the world's opium, the main ingredient in heroin. Says the drug is in abundance in the war-ravaged country. Addiction is skyrocketing. This report by CNN's Our Current shows how some are doing to help. Viewers are warned that the story may be difficult to watch.
In a park in downtown Kabul, huddled under the trees, are a group of Afghans ignored by society. With a syringe in one hand, a vial of heroin in the other, this 28-year-old man begins a ritual that's been part of his life for the past 7 years. He draws the liquid out. What's left over, he drinks, and then he gets into position. Health workers give him sterile swabs to clean his skin. He doesn't use the crook of his arm because his veins have collapsed. Instead, he chooses the back of his hand. For the next 5 minutes, he slowly pumps heroin into his veins. He then collapses with the needle still sticking out of his hand. This is a tragic scene repeated throughout the country, with up to 1 million Afghans addicted to drugs. That's 8% of the population, double the world average. With Afghanistan producing 90% of the world's opium, the main ingredient of heroin, drugs here are pure in quality and very cheap. 28-year-old Reza injects half a gram a day, which costs around $4 US. He started a year ago after being introduced to it by a bad friend. He says he'd like to give up, but at the moment he can't. Using drugs made me leave my home, my family, he tells me. If I didn't use drugs, I would have a family, a good life.
I will show you the...
Ernst Visser runs a preventative drug program for Médecins du Monde in Kabul. It's the only clinic that provides methadone, a substitute for heroin, but can only legally cater for 71 drug users.
I would describe the drug addiction problem in Afghanistan as enormous and growing.
The clinic also helps addicts who walk in off the street.
This is his first day that he's not used any other drugs normally. He's just been put up.
He introduces me to 38-year-old Asadullah, who's been an addict for 14 years. The father of 4 says his family has had enough. I want to use methadone until I forget drugs completely, he says. I want to be a healthy person, to find a good way to start a normal life. 2 years ago, there was a real sign the Afghan government and the international community were serious about tackling drug addiction in this country. A methadone program started, but 2 months later, it was shut down. Officials saying they're still trying to work out the best form of treatment. According to the UN, it is. But that means little to the countless number of desperate Afghans who can't access the methadone program. 25-year-old Masoma is willing to try a more basic form of treatment. She and her entire family, including her 2 young boys, are addicted to opium. I started to use the drug like a medicine for pain relief after my husband died. But when I became an addict, I had to search for a way to stop this. They're staying at Mother Camp, an organisation founded by a local Afghan woman which tackles drug abuse through counselling. I feel shame and say to myself, why did I do this? Why didn't I think of my children, my future? A powerful motive that for now is keeping her addiction at bay. But for so many other Afghans, that battle is already lost. Anna Corrin, CNN, Kabul.
To this topic, well, we take our second break now.
This introduces a brand new show, Buddies Night Out, a show for you and your friends to win fabulous prizes. But you win only if you answer questions we ask you correctly. To be part of the show, you should know the numbers by now. Type BUDDIES, Buddies, to your favorite network, AfriCell 2020 200, QCell 3030 300, Chromium 60 60 600, and Gamcell or 999 0909. And we will call you back. Make sure you have 4 friends ready to participate. Talk to you soon.
And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. 22 technical assistants from the Federal Republic of Nigeria are set to contribute to the Gambia's health and education sectors. Women from across the West Coast region have received life skills training on the transformation and preservation of perishable fruits and vegetables. Burmese opposition leader and Nobel Peace Laureate Aung San Suu Kyi has backed the U.S. Congressional Medal as Washington renews its support to Yangon's newfound democracy. And the scourge of heroin addiction in war-ravaged Afghanistan has taken an appalling toll of the bulk of that country's young population. You can monitor GRTS Radio Live on our website at www.grts.gm. That brings us to the end of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Stay tuned and enjoy GRTS. Until then, my name is Abubakar Dabo.
internet bi mu ngi bari de so I don't think I was
mun nga ma ban nga nekk di déglu ci Gambian music yi
well dëgg xaw ma nag de waaye xam naa de su nekkee nii lañ ko defee moom gars duñ ever make money.
The street have a conclusive agreement on one issue: the love for homegrown entertainment.
Again, the best videos might be with you, but they cannot be played on the show if you don't pass them to us.